Hello there. My name is Jeremy Canopo, and I think I may have a potential solution to our N95 respirator shortage that can be implemented right now. Like all of you, I have been watching heartbroken all of our healthcare workers out there trying to battle the COVID-19 pandemic with a drastic shortage in personal protection equipment, in particular N95 respirators. And this is an issue that goes near and dear to my heart. My grandmother was an RN, so I just wanted to see if there's anything I could do to help the folks that are trying to help us. So I'm a designer, engineer by background. I've often worked on many projects where I have very limited resources, very limited budgets and timelines. I certainly don't claim to be an expert in mask design. You can see my background down below. So obviously use the information here at your own discretion. But my hope is that somebody out there may find this information helpful. We can use it to create masks, and other people will expand upon it, improve upon it, and we can help solve this critical shortage of N95 respirators. So the problem, as I see it, is that we're about 1.3 billion N95 respirators short. If you add up all the possible supply of all the possible manufacturers out there ramping up to all the possible levels that they say they can do, and you add in the national stockpile, which just sent out its last bit that they had available, and you subtract the two, you end up with about 1.3 billion shortage compared to what Health and Human Services says we're going to need. That's an incredible number. The current N95 manufacturing is never going to be able to catch up to that. So my interpretation of how we might be able to solve that problem, or at least close it down a bit, is to look at hospitals. They have an enormous amount of supplies in the hospitals themselves. And is there any possible way that within all of the materials that already exist within hospitals that we could turn something quickly and easily into an N95 respirator? So this is kind of like that Apollo 13 scene for all you other geeky engineers out there that can remember it. I'm basically taking what's in the hospital supply cabinet, dumping it out, and seeing how to quickly and easily turn it into an N95 respirator. I think I came up with something that can work, and this is it. So basically what you need in order to make this work is a film dressing. This is 3M Tegaderm, super common in hospitals. Many of you have probably seen it on your arm when you have an IV. They use it for wound care or whatever. It's made in the US, and the suppliers who I've talked to have said that they have more than enough capacity of this available. So a common film patch, and then for that creates the seal. And then for the filter media, there's a lot of stuff actually that might be possible. There's a bunch of research going back all the way to the Spanish flu around gauze and cloths and things like that, that in certain layers can create enough of a barrier. And if hospitals want to use that, or if mask testing experts want to go ahead and validate that, by all means, please dig into the materials that I listed below in more detail in the link, and see what else hospitals could use as a filter media. But for right now, the two tried and true materials that are 95% rated or higher in terms of filtration is the ubiquitous surgical mask or procedure mask that has a 95% rating, but it's not a respirator because obviously it doesn't seal around your face. But the material itself has a 95% rating. The other is this sterilization wrap material, which I have to give credit to the University of Florida for identifying this. They're currently using it in a sewn mask design. But basically this material is used all throughout hospitals and dental offices to wrap up instruments in and then sterilize it. And it comes in a bunch of different thicknesses, but all the thicknesses of this sterilization wrap have at least an N95, have a 95% rating or higher. And the other nice thing about it is after it's used and sterilized, the hospitals throw it out. So it is a readily available supply stream within the hospitals that has a 95% filtration rating, and they're going to throw it out anyway. So both of these are existing solutions we can use now. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that I encourage people with the right resources to investigate to give hospitals even more options. So this is how you make it. So I'm going to take the Tegaderm, the film dressing. This happens to be a 6x8, which is a standard pre-cut size. Open it up. So you get this. It has a frame around the outside and a little split. I'm just going to fold it in half like this. You guys can see what I'm doing. So I've got it folded. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to notch this out here. You see it better if I do it like this. So then I've got a little notch in the tegaderm patch. By the way, it's about 1.5 inches. I made a little mark on my scissors so I would know where to go. You could use scissors if you really want to get more advanced. There's lots of punches out there for crafting and things like that where you can punch out the material, punch out the hole. But down and dirty, use the scissors, cut a little diamond shape. You get that, that's what you're going to breathe through. So after you got that cut, I'm peeling off this inside layer, which is the non-sticky side of the tegaderm or the film dressing. Peeling that off. Don't need my scissors anymore. I've got that. Now I'm going to flip it over and use this little release lip here. Hold down the frame, hold down the tegaderm patch, peel it back like that. I'm going to take my pre-cut piece of sterilization wrap and just put it right over the hole that I cut, like that. I'm going to take this, so now I've got my wrap over the hole that I'm going to breathe through, and I'm just going to put that across the bridge of my nose, like this. Start to stick it on, pull this down here, get it started, peel off the frame. It's a little easier with a mirror, but hopefully this is okay. You can see what I'm doing. Start at the other top. Peel this down. Can't see the frame. Yeah, there we go. I got it all there. Under my face. Come up here so you guys can see. So now I have a sealed piece of 95% filtration rating material sealed to my face. Even though I have a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, it still seems to work. I've actually made a lot of these prototypes. I used a little pulse ox data logger to measure my blood oxygen level over a period of time, over a half hour at least on multiple prototypes, and I saw no loss or drop in pulse ox. And I also use this little infrared FLIR camera to go outside on a cold night and see if there was any leaks while I was breathing and exhaling, and there wasn't any. So even though this material is obviously moving back and forth because it's flimsy as I breathe, it's not hard to breathe. It's obviously not hard to talk. You can hear me. And actually I had our 7-year-old son make one as well, so it's pretty easy to make and pretty easy for him to breathe. So again, film patch, about a 2x3 piece of filter media, and that square that I cut out, the diamond I cut out, is about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches on each side. You can cut it with scissors, cut it with a hole punch or whatever, but you can see it's on there. So, if you want, by the way, before you put on the film, there's also this barrier. It's called a barrier film that's used if you want to protect your skin a little bit when you put these film dressings on. Particularly if you're going to put them on and off a lot, it'd probably be helpful. Again, this is something that healthcare workers are very familiar with. So now I'm just going to take it off, and you can see the method that 3M recommends, and healthcare workers will be better at this than me, is you stretch it, kind of like stretch wrap, and then it comes off just like that. And again, if you want it to come off a little easier, you can use the barrier film. But yeah, so just to summarize, to make a N95 respirator with hospital supply room materials, Tegaderm patch, some sterilization wrap, or you can cut up a mask. If you cut up a mask, by the way, you'll get 4 respirators out of the 1 mask, or use the sterilization wrap, which you're going to throw out anyway. So that's it. I hope this is helpful. And again, my heart goes out to all of the healthcare workers out there who are out there trying to help us and stay safe. And again, I hope other folks out there take this, build on it, improve upon it. You can click on the link below for more of the detailed information and background on how I came to this solution. And thank you for watching. Hope it helps. By the way, for what it's worth, here's my 2 cents on how I might go about implementing these adhesive respirators on a grand scale. Start right now with setting up multiple stations throughout a hospital with these materials that they already have and are already proven for filtering, the masks and or the sterilization wrap, and a stack of the Tegaderm film and a pair of scissors. And people right now can be making new N95-like respirators to be used. In the hours, days that follow, I have some folks pre-cutting those materials so that those pre-cut materials are at those stations, so the healthcare providers can reduce the amount of time it takes for them to put one of these together. Even though it only takes a few minutes to do now, every few minutes we can take off of that process, the more time they can spend with the patients. So perhaps have some people pre-cutting material, get that staged and stacked at the stations. In parallel, I'd have 2 things going on. One, having labs validate other hospital supply room filter media in case we need it, in case we run out of the mask material or the wrap material. It seems like there's some other likely candidates that are already in large volume in a hospital supply room. Again, those are listed in the appendix in the file below, and get the labs on validating some of those other materials that could be used with this respirator design. And then the other item in parallel is to have these manufacturers who are already making these film dressings convert some of their lines into high-speed manufacturing, high-volume manufacturing of these adhesive-style respirators. They already make film dressings that have wound pads in the middle of them, but the wound pads you can't breathe through. So basically, they need to replace the wound pad with a filter media and a hole behind it so you can breathe through it, and have them tool up to start shipping those in quantity. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on how I might go about implementing this. Can't wait to see all the great ideas and builds that all of you come up with. Thanks.